Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the USMJ space. We got a whole bunch of names to look at. We had a bit of an off week just in the sense that the US market was closed on Wednesday, or half day Wednesday, closed on Thursday. So volume this week is not going to be of any use for us as far as an indicator. So GWPH, I established a position in GWPH on Thursday, no, that was Wednesday. And the reason being, it was clear that our higher low had been established. We got some great follow through to start on Friday, which was surprising because the market was weak. But unfortunately, we had some words from Donald Trump bearish the biotech sector, and GWPH was dragged down by that as well. So we're watching this clear lower high pattern that has broken, but the lack of follow through and some untimely reaction to Trump now has us very cautious. I will exit if 169.27 breaks and we lose this higher low. I have interest in GWPH because this weekly consolidation has been extremely healthy and prolonged over the last 2 months. And it looked like we were just starting to get that momentum shifted with a change in the daily trend. 179.15 and 179.74 were the next two levels, but we topped out just under them and closed weak. So I may exit with a small loss if that is the case. I won't give up on watching GWPH, but just bad timing, which happens. And that's why we protect our trades, to keep losses small if unexpected things occur. IIPR, we had that 4-hour equilibrium that we were watching, and that broke bullish. So it had a high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high, held support, broke resistance, got some follow through on Friday. So looking at it here, we only have 2 resistance levels left until the all-time high, or 1 resistance and then the all-time high, 134.78 and 137.78, with the daily uptrend very clearly intact. The most important support is 119.34 for the bulls to keep the daily higher low pattern. Curaleaf. I'm interested in Curaleaf. I want a long-term position in it, longer term, but the bulls aren't showing me anything. The bulls are playing defense in the sense that we break support and get no follow-through, but we aren't breaking any resistance levels. I drew this pattern of a falling wedge, which is a bullish reversal pattern, to keep an eye on. And if you look at T-God, which T-God is of course the Canadian name, but look what T-God did on Friday. That's a same pattern of a falling wedge. It's lower lows with no follow through. Bear break by 3 cents into a bounce. Bear break by 1 cent into a breakout. So we're watching for the same thing. Can Curaleaf see that happen with a bull break? The most important price level short term for me is 978. But just as a bit of a visual guide, I'm using the exponential moving averages. And looking at the 4-hour exponential moving averages, they've been resistance since about 1450. We've been continually setting lower highs and rejecting from them. If we get over these exponential resistances and see a bull cross, it will be notable. The daily exponential resistances, same thing, they'll be right there. So pretty much it's determined by if I want to be aggressive, I may act on the 4-hour exponential resistances breaking. If I want to be conservative, I'm waiting for the daily chart. But we're getting really close to the potential of a shift, and it looks to me like the Curaleaf bears are running out of momentum a bit, so I will be interested this coming week on potentially establishing a position on Curaleaf. The only thing that has me hesitant so far is there's not a clear stop level to use, because again, we have been dropping to lower lows both Tuesday and now Friday, dropping to that lower low with just a lack of follow through. And actually this is the Canadian ticker, so those days are off, but you get the idea. CWeb. So CWeb is on absolute fire after changing the daily trend. We had the low, high of the bounce, higher low, trend change, and just came across, thanks to some members, we had the uncovering of a patent that was awarded on July 2nd for some genetics of one of their hemp strains. And in my opinion, behind the scenes, they haven't press released that, but that's what's resulting in this second leg up and very significant strength. Big bull volume, strong close at the high of the week, and a gap fill up to 22.92, so that has filled. Now we're looking at the next clear resistance of 26.45. At this point, CWeb has gone 60% from the low in just 3 weeks. That's why we're interested in the USMJ space. There hasn't even been a huge clear catalyst. There certainly hasn't been a major catalyst sector-wide. We did have some bullish news on CWeb. Again, those genetics being patented. And we did have a news release. I forget exactly what it was, but I think they were just highlighting how much hemp they're growing outdoors this year and how much it's increased. That was early on into the bounce that came out. But the bottom line is, when the momentum shifts, it shifts in a big way and it shifts very quickly. So establishing longer term positions and being able to benefit from a move like this, 60% in 3 weeks, is my personal goal. And the more individual names that can see something like this, the more that's going to uplift the rest of the sector as far as having individuals or perhaps small groups looking as to where to put their funds for some bullish action. TRUL, nice tight daily equilibrium forming, low of the pullback, high of the bounce, higher low, inability to break resistance, and now we're looking for another higher low to form. It is essentially a little cup and handle pattern. I don't generally look for a cup and handle on this kind of setup. I look for it more in an uptrend, but we have the clear resistance unable to break, clear healthy consolidation looking for a little bull flag or a little handle of that cup. And if we can see a break this coming week of 1508 and 1517, it's going to be a notable shift in momentum that will have the bounce underway for TRUL. One more note on CWeb that I want to mention is not chasing, obviously. Going up 60% in 3 weeks, it's too late at this point, and we can look at this and say, I missed this move, and perhaps, learn from it and chalk it up in our memory banks, but we need to wait for weekly consolidation at this point because we will still need a weekly trend. But just like that, it's a very notable bull move, and just looking at percentage distance to the all-time high, we need to go 43%. Percentage distance to drop to a lower low, we need to go about 39-40%. So we're almost in the midway point of our multiple month range between the high and the low. So I am expecting a weekly lower high to form compared to the all-time high, and then we'll have to consolidate and form a weekly higher low from there. So TRUL, even if we do get this daily bull break, we can't lose sight of all of these weekly timeframes, because all of these weekly charts, we will still be looking for lower highs to form. Anything under 1807 is a lower high on TRUL. That's still 20% away. But keep an eye on that daily chart for that bull break. Let's see if we can get some shifts in momentum and some crosses on these 12 and 26 period exponential moving averages, which again, for the majority of names, gives some good signals, as we haven't seen many of those crosses in the history of these stocks. IAN still not proving anything. The only hope for the bulls at this point is an inverse head and shoulders pattern with our left shoulder, our head, and our right shoulder. The bulls would have to hold 387 and break 446 and 478 to change this trend and get that clear bull break. If we drop down and break 387, it's just a move to lower lows. I personally have capital still sitting by from shares that I sold up in the, well, it was ITHUF, but from shares I sold on June 28th and the end of June. And I will reload those if we see extreme dump and extreme RSI levels. Otherwise, I'm patiently sitting on my longer term position that I'm continually flipping, actively trading to lower cost basis, selling, buying the weakness, selling the bounces, reloading on weakness, and just patiently waiting for the daily trend change, which has not happened at any point in the last 3-4 months. CL, still struggling to find that higher low. So here's an example, again, of why the trend change is so important, because you look at the move, and we had a huge bounce, and that was a very significant move of 30+% in just 4 or 5 days. And look at the lack of any follow through. Did we confirm any daily trend change? No. That's why CWeb is so notable. CWeb on the daily time frame saw that same initial bull move, but the big difference is the declining bear volume, the higher low, the increasing bull volume, and continuation. And you look at CL and it's just a slow fade with bulls making their move, shorts covering, but then shorts very comfortable re-entering positions because there's no follow through. Any shorts that entered CWeb after their initial bull move, they got squeezed and had to cover and add to that buying pressure. So 1149 is still a support level to be watching. We have not changed the hourly trend convincingly at any point on this consolidation. We need a clear hourly higher low and higher high, and we just don't have it. So until that happens, we can be watching the bottom fish 1149 support. I'd like to see the price drop closer to it if I were going to make that play, but keeping an eye out for an hourly trend change to indicate a daily higher low has been established. we will anticipate a higher low will form and then a bounce and a lower high. And again, just anticipating a long drawn out tightening range through July. OH barely clinging on here. I still have an OH position. I've been watching Reddit. I still have an OH position, but I will exit if 850 support breaks, because that will tell me that the odds of a weekly bear flag are high. So the weekly bounce is not seeing much follow through. The daily trend change not seeing follow through. Bulls are going to have to get back up to 955 for some relief. You can see the daily exponential resistance still giving a lot of trouble for the last couple months. And if we can't get over those levels and we break 850, I'm going to be out. I'm going to lock in my profit and then start with a fresh, clean slate and see if there's another setup that I like for an entry. HARV. This is another one worth watching, but bulls aren't doing a whole lot. Clear rejection from exponential resistance. And that's why I keep talking about these exponential resistance levels, not only for their crosses, but just with how clear for months and months some of these names are rejecting from these levels. And if we were going to draw a downtrend resistance line, we could see we're not seeing a ton of price movement. Trying to see what I like for our support line the best. Probably something horizontal. Something along those lines. It's more of a descending triangle with a horizontal base of support and lower highs. We should see a clear break, if not this week, this coming week, certainly the week after that. Bulls have to break 842, and bears want to see a clear break of 765 and 737. So another name, just like Curaleaf, that's getting real tight and is getting worthwhile to be watching for a break of tightening ranges. GTII, another one where the weekly chart is a potential bear flag. Very weak bounce attempt. The daily trend changed with no follow through. Support is 1342. We still have the daily uptrend intact, but if we lose this daily uptrend, the weekly bear flag will be very likely. So a few little higher lows and higher highs, but no follow through for the bulls. MedMen has started consolidating after its significant move. We're looking for a higher low to form here. Anything on the daily above 266 is a higher low. Some bulls are patiently waiting for hourly oversold conditions. And the end of the day, Friday, throwing that off a little bit. If we had closed week, we could have been looking for hourly oversold, potentially Monday or Tuesday. That's still the case here, but we need an hourly trend change to have any confidence that our daily higher low has been established. Anything under 346 is just a lower high, but keeping an eye out with this base of 328 and 327 support and watching for a shift in the hourly momentum to indicate that our daily higher low is formed. If you want to be more conservative, looking for a position in MedMen, you're waiting for a weekly higher low to form because, again, we know weekly lower highs are forming on these bounces because we've been pulling back for so long. So anything under 422 is just a lower high, and then we'll have to form a weekly higher low from there. KSHB, so the daily chart here got a very clear trend change. The bulls are trying to establish a higher low. 480 is the current support level. It's a bit of a double bottom, and the last 3 days, 504 is a triple top. So very clear resistance there, and if we just pull up the 4-hour time frame, we can see we're stuck in that range. If we see the bear break, we have not formed the daily higher low yet, and we'll be looking down towards 470 and a gap fill at 464. And if we see a bull break of 504, then we have formed our higher low, and 480 will be that level. But again, weekly time frame, and actually I take that back because again, I keep forgetting KSHB has changed this weekly momentum with a little higher low in this bull move. And let's see what the monthly looks like. Not a ton of clarity. I would be watching the daily uptrend as the most important as the bulls try and establish their new daily higher low. CVSI, bulls not doing a whole lot. Here's another one where we have, let's see what this support line looks like. And if I were going to draw a resistance line, don't really like it off of this big candlestick. But either way, again, just a tightening range. Bulls have to see a clear break of 417, and the bears are going to be looking for a clear break of 393 and 390. You can see a base of support in the 390s being built. Question is, can the bulls go on offense and get over these exponential resistances, which have continued to keep the price fairly contained? NBEV. So NBEV is in a clear lower high pattern. 499 is a resistance level. Very choppy on the daily, so let's see if the weekly chart has some more clarity. Low of 423, higher low of 431. Bulls have to break 499 to change this weekly momentum. Don't like the clarity here for any kind of trade, and would need to see a break of $5 for the bulls to prove anything to me, as that was the previous support and it's now acting as resistance. If we just put a line on that range, much more easy to see. Tons of support holds, and now a resistance rejection. ZYNE bulls getting follow through. So we're looking up at 1647 now, the highest price we've seen in 2019. And the weekly time frame is looking pretty good. High, low of the weekly pullback, lower high, higher low, higher high. And we're now looking at a key test of 1647 to be looking for continuation. Bigger picture on ZYNE, monthly time frame. Pretty much just looking up towards the all-time high if we break this level, but daily uptrend is the most important. When we lose the hourly uptrend, we'll look for a daily higher low to form. Anything above 1236 keeps that daily uptrend, so the bulls are very comfortable with the current uptrend that they are holding. And this is one of those names that has stood out in the USMJ space as one of the strongest this year, with its huge move from essentially $4 up to 16. We're up hundreds of percent. So again, just another USMJ name. This one's on the NASDAQ. This one can see high volume and big capital coming into it. Hedge funds, they can play a name like this. You can't play a name like Curaleaf or a name like IAN on lower exchanges with this kind of volume. We're looking at 50, 60 million shares traded a day. Let's just look at the average volume. Average 20-day volume, it's about $28 million traded. That's a lot of volume. And the US MSOs, we're looking at about $3-4 million a day, and that's including both Canadian and US dual listing tickers. So being on a higher exchange makes all the difference in the world as far as access to capital, and that's why the Safe Banking Act, or perhaps some other changes in legislation that could allow for uplisting of these USMJ names, would be so critical. PYX, so we had the big bull move that everybody was talking about, but it was just a daily lower high. We faded all the way back to 1406. Now it looks like that base has been set and the hourly trend has changed. We had the low, high, higher low, higher high, a little bit more choppy action, and then continuation. So a shift in momentum is on. The next resistance level for me is 1598, but we'll round to 16. And then looking back up to 1820, and I would expect to see a tightening range here where we look for something along the lines of our high, low. We'll look for a lower high to be set, and then just a tightening range through July if the bulls can get a bit more follow through. BAMM, another one building a base of support in a nice tight equilibrium, keeping an eye out for a volume spike and a break. We have our low, high, higher low of 114, lower high of 140, and we're looking for a clear break. So the bulls have to break 140 and the bears have to break 114 and 111, and just another name that's getting real tight. A shift to momentum looks close. If we get the bull break, we zoom out to the weekly and we look for just a weekly lower high compared to 295. And last, we'll wrap it up with Tilt. Saw something on Tilt online, an article. I don't know if it was Seeking Alpha or Motley Fool or something along those lines. Just be aware that there's some bearish article out there. I didn't actually read it. 110 is support. We're at that level, and we actually broke it by a penny. And after 109, we're looking at one psychological. And the bears remain in control. 133 was a lower high. 130 was a lower high. Just a very clear downtrend. The bulls aren't doing anything to change at this point. Also hearing some rumors that CanTrust on the Canadian side of things was raided and was breaking some laws. I have no idea if that's legitimate or not. We'll certainly find out probably this coming week. I don't think it'll have significant implications in the US sector, but it could have implications in the Canadian sector. So just something to be aware of as we keep tabs on this space as a whole. At this point, it's a rumor, but it's something to keep an ear out for this coming week. So I appreciate you watching. We'll continue to check in. We'll see if some names can have some bull spikes like T-God to break their tightening ranges. Top watch for me this coming week is Curaleaf and, of course, OH because I'm in a position there. But some of these other names, I do like watching this tight range on HARV. Pretty much anything that's really tight to be watching for a break is going to be at the top of my list. So have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. 4,
So we got our wood chips delivered. We also got a pile of manure delivered. And this is our progress so far. Stripping away a path, we're going to put the wood chips in the path, and as we peel up the grass, we're putting it on top of the grass to create the raised bed. And we've been getting muck from the pond, because the pond's pretty much 20 years of all these cypress leaves deteriorating. So we've been swimming in the pond, and it's about a foot of muck. So we're taking some of that muck and putting it on the raised beds as well. So far it's sod flipped over on itself, some muck, we put some weeds that we've pulled up in there, and we're gonna add manure, and we'll take it from there. This is gonna be the one row of raised beds. We're gonna get the wood delivered in a few days, and it's some second tier cut from a local sawmill. So we'll piece that together, and then we'll do another path to the left of it, and then another row of raised beds. And thinking of putting some blueberries in this mulch bed already established, and we'll see how it progresses. Blackberries are starting to ripen, and there's a huge difference between a blackberry that's hot from the sun and something that's days old and refrigerated and out of the grocery store, and it's way better. And these guys are big and fat. And it's important not to take every ripe berry. You want to leave some for the birds to have, because sharing is caring. Baby ducks are getting their sleek feathers now. The fuzzies are going away on their wings and continuing to get older. I'm gonna come in to say hello.